So how would I have done things differently? Well, I talked about the ending to Mass Effect 2, I talked about replacing Kai Lang with someone more suited as a rival for Shepard, and I'm going to talk more about Cerberus itself. I am upset they treated the Elusive Man as the primary antagonist instead of Harbinger, but I'll get to all that. Let's work through this chronologically. And just so we're all on the same page, I am not saying my ideas are definitely the best. In a perfect world, I would be on a team of writers all bouncing our ideas off each other. So these ideas are just me and are by no means perfect. Second, I know it doesn't seem like it based on what I've said up until this point, but I do like Mass Effect 3. I just think it could have been better, and as long as we're wishing for things, why not go all out? So let's start with Mars. Ava Corey. Why the hell does Kaidan or Ashley even comment about who the woman on the screen is? As far as they're concerned, she's just another scientist. But far more importantly, we're saying Cerberus created a synthetic body so lifelike it passes for a real human woman in one of the Alliance's most important research facilities. Just so we're clear on that, Cerberus does something that is virtually impossible given what we know up until that point, and we're just gonna kinda gloss over that as if it's not freaking miraculous. I know we need to get EDI a body, but I don't think we should abandon logic in order to do that. Instead, let's just say some random scientist, quote, defected to Cerberus, and they sabotaged things to let the Cerberus troops in. As for the synthetic body EDI will get, you can still have an infiltration mech, just more of a hide-in-the-shadows type than hide-in-plain-sight. Basically a synthetic Kasumi. And in this case, the body probably shouldn't have a detailed human face either. Rather, I think something like the N7 Fury. Yeah, you might miss out on some of the incredibly awkward jokes Joker makes, but I think he could still be attracted to this body. I mean, he's already emotionally attracted to her, so yeah, in the Mars archives, this synthetic ninja... See, here is the appropriate place for a ninja, guys. This synthetic ninja siphons some of the data and transmits it to the Elusive Man, wiping any local copy before it's killed. So a lot like the way they used Ava, just less ridiculous. Now, after taking our injured friend to the Citadel, we should probably deal with Chrono Station right away, because as I explained earlier, we know someone who knows where it is. Fortunately, we don't actually have to go there. We can just say the Alliance does, but the Elusive Man and Cerberus fleet are already gone. Maybe he even blew up his own base because he was smart enough to realize that we knew someone who knew where it was. It does deprive us of that cool scene coming into the observation room, but that's a fair trade for, logic. The Krogan arc could stay the same. I would have explained why Cerberus attacked STG at some point. I would like to write a fanfic about how that attack was a distraction for a different mission, but I don't know when I'll get to that. The coup attempt is weird. The entire Citadel was attacked? How did they transport the troopers without their ships being shot down? Or at least contained once they landed? I'm sure there is an explanation, but they don't give us one. Also, I can buy that Cerberus abducted colonists to quickly make an army, but there is a line, alright? An army fighting in huge numbers all over the galaxy? Actually, their fleet is just as big an issue. All I can imagine is that these are mostly stolen civilian ships modified with stronger Mass Effect cores and weapons. Because how does Cerberus get all the materials and the time to build all these ships? I mean, they have a fleet guarding Omega, and a fleet guarding Chrono Station, and enough soldiers to occupy all those ships, and Omega, and attack the Citadel, and send forces all over the galaxy. Yeah, no. Personally, I would have bolstered Cerberus numbers with a ton of mechs. Maybe variations on the Rampart mechs from Omega. Cerberus had Geth tech, Collector tech, Prothean tech, Reaper tech, and their own tech. So I would have had Cerberus use a ton of mechs to bolster their forces, instead of saying they had this many colonists transformed into soldiers. Have a healthy mix of organic and synthetic soldiers. Anyway, I didn't mean to go so far into Cerberus. Moving on, about the coup attempt, I would have done more to explain how Cerberus did this and how we cleaned it up so quickly, and here is where we first meet Kai Lang's replacement, who is getting his own video. but all that stuff with the attempted assassination plays out pretty much the same, just less acrobatics. After the coup, we go see the Quarians. Most of that can stay the same, but I would make it possible to attain peace without needing to destroy the Geth fighters. I am still upset about that. Now here's something bound to be controversial. I'm going to put it out there, but again, I would be bouncing this idea off a bunch of different writers before the final product is released. All the Geth gain full intelligence because of the Reaper Code. However, this kind of goes against the whole Geth thing of networked intelligence. That's something that made the Geth so cool, but they exchanged it for individuality. I'm not sure if that was the best idea or not. I would have suggested they fully build their central server hub so all Geth could connect to it, like they were doing before the Quarians foolishly attacked. I mean, seriously, what was the plan there? They started the war well after the Reapers invaded. So, spend all our resources retaking the homeworld so that the Reapers will have an easier time defeating us? I get Loghain and Morrigan, but it seems a weird decision for Admiral Ron, who was the deciding vote. Regardless, the whole Geth thing. Leave your opinions in the comments. Would you have rathered the Geth stay networked, or do you like the way they handled it already? I'm on the fence about it, but I lean towards network. Now, I do take issue with Legion's last words. Tally says the answer to his question was yes, and he goes, I know. He's not Han Solo, he can't pull that off. Here's Tally making this monumental confession to him, and he just shrugs it off. Just have him pause and say thank you. And then he says Keela Salai, which I don't think makes sense in context. I mean, if he was disseminating his personality and the Geth got to keep their networked nature, it might. I don't know. Also, why in God's name does Shepard not tell Tally he loves her? Yeah, screw you too, Bioware. This is another example of what I talked about before with all the forced dialogue. My Shepard loved Tally, and he would have poured out his heart to tell her that. And on the topic, I know this has been brought up a bunch elsewhere, but come on guys, what is up with this picture? You could have done a 5-second Google search for fan art and come up with 100 better ideas than badly photoshopping a human. This better be declared non-canon. As far as I'm concerned, it is not canon. Anyway, in terms of story, now we get to Thessia. I'm already not a fan of the Asari, but the Thessia mission was pretty decent right up until the end, and I already explained why. So here's what I would have done for the third act. At the end of Thessia, have Lang's replacement wait for Shepard to activate the VI, then steal it, have a better fight, and a better reason for not Lang escaping. Now as for tracking him, there's no logical reason he would go to Sanctuary with the VI in tow. However, we need Shepard to go there, so here's what I propose. That was the Elusive Man's base after the destruction of Chrono Station. Maybe put Sanctuary elsewhere too. I mean, Horizon was a settled planet. They had a ton of refugees coming in, and a lot of them got shipped off to the Elusive Man. Maybe a different colony that the Collectors abducted would have been better, like Freedom's Progress. Or we could go real old school and say they set up on Pharos or Vermeer. Regardless, if we make this place the Elusive Man's new base, then it needs to be pretty under-defended in order to not draw attention, and have a bunch of transport ships coming in and going out in order to mask how many people are being converted and shipped into battle. As it stands, I'm just now thinking of this, but for as long as Sanctuary was in operation, did the people there not notice a significant number of people disappearing as more people kept coming in? I don't know what they could have done about it even if they did, but I think it's a good question. Anyway, back to the story and why we end up going there. Traynor just happens to track Kai Lang's shuttle? Better reason, we get the stupid orb thing that projects the Elusive Man, and then we trace that. Sanctuary basically stays the same, but I should talk about Miranda. I'm not a big fan of her already, and Mass Effect 3 really didn't help that. For starters, less deliberate angles of her butt. Look, I like butts, but this is so heavy-handed it just becomes annoying. Like, yeah, I get it, she's attractive, cool. Also, they had this running theme in her conversations of be careful and not making promises. They were going for something here, but I'm not sure they got there. I'm not sure how else to say that. Now we move on to the end. Since we're cutting the Elusive Man's base mission, we could just merge the information we get there with Sanctuary. That's probably the way to go. As for the battle for Earth, and the whole the catalyst is the Citadel thing, I actually get why the catalyst is the Citadel. The Crucible is little more than a power source, and the Citadel, as the hub of the relay network, is how it sent that energy throughout the galaxy. But how did the Reapers move it, let alone so quickly? I mean, I actually understand why they waited so long to attack, but if you're going to imply they could have captured it that quickly the whole time, then... Actually, no, I don't get why they waited so long. Upon reflection, I think the people on the Citadel closed the arms when the Reapers invaded. So they didn't actually conquer it, they actually just moved it. Regardless, it was weird. I know they wanted to end things on the Citadel, but they already did that in the first game, so that felt unnecessary. Now for the ending. We could keep the Reapers moving the Citadel thing, and we just replace the ending with what I talked about in my video for how I would have done it. Honestly, that might be the best option. Alternatively, I have this idea for Harbinger being the catalyst. This is more of a thought I just kind of want to put out there, and I'm not sure if I prefer it over the Citadel ending, but you guys let me know what you think. So we find out in order to focus all the energy to just the Reapers, we need the oldest Reaper in existence. The idea is that all Reapers are based on Harbinger, his code. All the Reapers are different, but they all carry fragments or variations of Harbinger's original code. That's how the Crucible is able to direct its energy at just the Reapers and all the Reapers. I'm not sure how much sense that makes, but it's gotta be more than the Reapers moving the Citadel to Earth in such a short time frame. So we get aboard Harbinger. Just, it happens. Maybe a deal similar to the Conduit in the real ending. As for why that exists, well, it's not like it's happening anyway, so I guess it doesn't really matter. So we have to kill Harbinger from the inside. We have a final fight at his core, and throughout the mission he's talking to you, saying miscellaneous threatening things like he did in 2. Maybe Shepard is alone for this, maybe not. I kind of like him being the only one to make it inside. Also, just in general, build Harbinger up as a villain more. As it stands, it's almost like he didn't matter at all. Now, about indoctrination. I mean, like I said, you have your scientists working on it. Say by the end they give you something to help you resist. One idea I have for that involves using the Thorian. However, that would be a major plot point that the game doesn't really have time for. I was thinking about involving the Thorian in a DLC pack. However, that would mean that explanation for resisting indoctrination can't work. Anyway, you're inside Harbinger fighting a token force of Reaper infantry. Likely alone, maybe with Anderson, but it is weird to me that the 2 most important people are the only ones to make it. Anyway, you have the final battle in Harbinger's core, and then there's a few options. Maybe you kill him and he's floating in space, then they bring the Crucible into place, somehow defend it from the rest of the Reapers. I mean, we do that in reality anyway. The thing fires, and then we all have ice cream. Or, you have to hook up a thing that connects to the Crucible proper. So it's like reading Harbinger's code remotely. And once it has that, it can target and fire. That means the Crucible doesn't need to be at Earth, but you could send it to the Citadel anyway, just to have the maximum amount of forces protecting it. It wouldn't be a huge force because the majority of ships are at Earth, but they still need to defend the Citadel just in case. So that may be the best place for the Crucible. You can say it had to be moved there because the Reapers found out where they were building it. I don't know, again, this is just one possibility I would suggest. A third idea I have is actually kind of indoctrinating Harbinger to hook up to the Crucible. It would involve Cerberus's research gathered from Sanctuary. So it becomes an interesting thing where you were telling the Elusive Man his idea was stupid the whole time, only to end up needing to use what he did. In this case, getting inside Harbinger is the only way to apply this indoctrination. So that's about it for that idea. I'm not sure if I prefer that or the Citadel ending. I just want to fight inside Harbinger to kill him. And him built up more as a villain. In either scenario, what I said in my video for how I would have done the Mass Effect 3 ending still applies. So let me know what you guys think about all this. How do you feel about Kai Lang? How do you feel about the plot as it is? Do you like my ideas for alternatives? Let me know in the comments section. All I ask is that we please be respectful to one another. Let me reiterate, I love Mass Effect, and I like the third game a lot. This is just how I personally would have suggested it be different. Although, yes, I did not like many things about the game, I still like the game as a whole. So I guess that about wraps this up. Thank you all so much for watching. Don't forget to comment and like. I'll see you later.